Even though she is one of the most impressive leaders in the franchise, Star Trek, Voyager's Captain Catherine Janeway, Kate Mulgrew, has never done one thing that every other lead Star Trek captain has. Janeway's career is littered with incredible achievements. During her first mission in command of the USS Voyager, she and her crew found themselves stranded in the Delta Quadrant, forcing her to spend 7 years trying to find a faster way home. She also initiated first contact with numerous new alien species, battled the Borg Queen, Susanna Thompson, Alice Krige, and kept most of her crew alive, despite the odds. As the second spin-off of Star Trek, The Next Generation, Voyager built on elements that had been introduced in TNG and Star Trek, Deep Space Nine. In Voyager's feature-length premiere, Caretaker, Captain Janeway visited Space Station Deep Space Nine before she set off to find the missing Maquis spaceship, the Valjean. Janeway faced many challenges and achieved many firsts on her journey through the Delta Quadrant, making Voyager a famous Federation starship by the time of its return. However, while Janeway became one of Starfleet's best admirals, she has never set foot on the Federation's most famous ship, the USS Enterprise. Captain Janeway has never set foot on any Starship Enterprise. Janeway remains one of the only Star Trek captains who has never visited the Enterprise. Beginning with Captain James T. Kirk, William Shatner, in Star Trek, the original series, every lead Star Trek captain other than Janeway has been on a version of the Starship Enterprise. Captain Jean-Luc Picard, Patrick Stewart, of course, commanded the USS Enterprise D for 7 seasons of Star Trek, The Next Generation. Commander Benjamin Sisko, Avery Brooks, visited the Enterprise D in Emissary, the premiere of Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, and later visited the Enterprise of Captain Kirk in DS9 Season 5, Episode 6, Trials and Tribulations. Captain Christopher Pike, Anson Mount, commands the famous ship in Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, and Michael Burnham, Sonequa Martin Green, visited his Enterprise back in Star Trek, Discovery Season 2. On Star Trek, Enterprise, Captain Jonathan Archer, Scott Bakula, commanded the first Starship Enterprise NX-01, becoming instrumental in forming the United Federation of Planets. That leaves Captain Janeway as one of the few Star Trek captains who has never set foot on the Enterprise, although she did speak with Captain Picard via a viewscreen on the Enterprise E in Star Trek, Nemesis. Janeway still has a chance to visit the USS Enterprise. Will Janeway visit the Enterprise in a future Trek project? Although Admiral Janeway initially sought an early retirement after the events of Star Trek, Prodigy Season 2, she was called back into active service after the synth attack on Mars. While nothing has been confirmed regarding Prodigy Season 3, fans have been actively petitioning Netflix for more of the animated Star Trek show. If Prodigy Season 3 happens, Janeway could visit the Enterprise E or Enterprise F. Although Star Trek, Picard Season 3 hinted that Captain Worf, Michael Dorn, had something to do with the loss of the Enterprise E, there has been no confirmation revealing when exactly this happened. After Picard Season 3 came to a close, fans began clamoring for a spin-off following the adventures of Captain 7 of 9, Jerry Ryan, and the Enterprise G. Despite fan enthusiasm for the proposed Star Trek Legacy spin-off, Paramount appears to be focusing on other Trek projects for the time being. Still, if Star Trek Legacy or a Picard movie ever happens, Janeway could pay a visit to the Enterprise G. Star Trek has yet to reunite Janeway and Seven on screen, and it would be great to see them both aboard the newest iteration of Starfleet's most famous ship. Kate Mulgrew shot down Janeway as captain of the Enterprise. Mulgrew felt Janeway should remain in command of a ship named Voyager. Captain Janeway from Star Trek, Voyager and the USS Enterprise D. As the showrunners of Star Trek, Prodigy were workshopping ideas for the return of Janeway and Captain Chakotay, Robert Beltran, they considered having Janeway take command of the Enterprise. Instead, Janeway commands the USS Voyager A in Prodigy Season 2, which feels more appropriate for the character. According to showrunners Kevin and Dan Hageman, it was Kate Mulgrew who was not thrilled about commanding the Enterprise. After bringing the original Voyager safely home from the Delta Quadrant, Janeway and the ship are inextricably connected, so it makes sense to keep them together. Kate Mulgrew was right in pointing out that it would be more fitting for her to be in command of a ship named Voyager, especially considering all of the other Voyager shoutouts in Star Trek, Prodigy. When Janeway sought an early retirement, Chakotay took over command of Voyager A, which again, just feels right. While Janeway will likely never command the Enterprise, she should at least get a chance to visit one of the ships bearing the iconic name. Captain Janeway made a name for herself on Star Trek, Voyager, but it remains to be seen whether she will ever get to visit one of the starships named Enterprise.